Hey friends, Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Jobu, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Jobu Sports Report. Because of that, you guys, well, I certainly wouldn't be doing a whole lot more work to upgrade the set. And that's why it looks a little bit bare here, because I'm working on getting my new top in, so that way I'll have it tonight ready for the live stream, as well as my new stand that's going to go back behind here. I feel the need to come out with this. You know, I always like to think that there isn't a bias out there. But you can see in the media how people are always going to judge the Dallas Cowboys differently than everybody else. And I don't want to believe that. I want to believe that people can be unbiased. I try and be objective. I know I'm considered a homer, and I'm in the tank for the Dallas Cowboys. But when I'm hearing from Adam Schefter, and I'm hoping that this is just to get a response out there, because certainly everybody's clicking on the details that he's saying that Zeke Elliot is bracing for being suspended. But I'm sitting here thinking that the NFL, if they do in fact suspend him, it's not about an incident that really happened. It's more about, we just don't like you guys. I think back to when Brian Baldinger, who was suspended for saying that the Philadelphia Eagles should put out a bounty against Zeke Elliott to just basically take his head off because he's arrogant, because he's, flamboyant. He showed up with that crop top at the draft and stuff. He doesn't like that guy, not because he can't play, but because of his attitude. And if the NFL suspends him for this incident, I think that's the only thing that we're doing. Now, you may not like some of the things that he did with the whole pull the top down and all that, and things, and him being, a bit of a showboat, the fact that the guy can leap over players in a single bound. But when we take this domestic violence incident, and as it's being reported, if they suspend him for that, then why aren't some other people suspended? Because this started out back in July last year, where Tiffany, his alleged girlfriend, posted pictures on Instagram that said that she had been beaten for months. And finally, it escalated to the point of doing something about it, where she said Zeke Elliott ended up throwing her across the room on a coffee table and choking her to the point of grasping for her breath. But then that story kind of evolved into getting beat at a car. And incidents that there were 4 eyewitnesses that said, no, it didn't happen, including a witness who was in the car. And that person ended up signing this affidavit to the police department. And let me read you what she said transpired. Because Zeke Elliott says he's got text messages that say that she's out to ruin him. On the night of July 21st, 2016, at approximately 11:45 p.m., I attended the social room located at 527 North Park Street, Columbus, Ohio, with Tiffany Thompson. At approximately 2 a.m. on July 22nd, I exited the social room with Tiffany, and we walked to our vehicle. And Tiffany was approached by another female who proceeded to physically assault Tiffany by first slapping Tiffany in the face and pulling her hair. A fight ensued for approximately a few minutes before I broke it up. I was able to help break up the fight by grabbing Tiffany's wrist and helping separate her from the other female. After the fight, at the social room, Tiffany and I walked to our vehicle, and Tiffany explained to me that Zeke Elliott was having a gathering at his rented apartment at Carriage House in Columbus, Ohio. Tiffany drove herself and I to the Carriage House, and because we were the first ones to arrive, we waited in our vehicle parked in the parking lot for Zeke Elliott and friends also to arrive. Okay, so, first thing, she says that they were boyfriend and girlfriend that lived together, but yet she didn't have a key to get in and had to wait for Zeke to get there. Okay. When Zeke Elliott's vehicle pulled over to Carriage House parking lot, Zeke was sitting in the passenger seat with another female driving. When Tiffany saw the other female in Zeke's car, Tiffany exited the vehicle, approached the female driver in Zeke's vehicle, and started screaming at the female driver. The female driver Ezekiel and the other passengers of the vehicle exited and started walking towards the carriage house. And at no point did Ezekiel walk to the carriage house, or at any time during the night did I see Ezekiel Elliott come into contact with Tiffany or touch Tiffany. While Zeke and his friends entered the carriage house, Tiffany yelled at Zeke that she was going to ruin his career and called the police. So the story has changed from where it started out being abused for months to a week and being thrown around an apartment to this car incident. And this witness has sworn testimony saying that Tiffany asked her to lie about it. So this wasn't the first time that she had called the police, because it also happened back in January before. And each time the police said, sorry, there's no evidence here of something going on. So after the police said, sorry, we can't help you, she went to the district attorney. The district attorney investigated and said, sorry, there's nothing here to make a case of. So now the NFL has had all of this time, has gone through here, and like I've said before, I don't want to sully the person's name because I don't have the facts. I'm going by what I've seen. But I'm sorry, but the story that stays consistent is Zeke Elliott's. The one that doesn't seems to be Tiffany's. When you listen to the 911 calls, I'm sorry, it doesn't sound like somebody who feared for their life. And if you're saying that you were being abused for months and you're still in that relationship, apparently you just like to be abused for months. Don't give me the hate mail. I'm just trying to point out the possibilities here and what I see as facts. If the NFL suspends Zeke Elliott for this, something he has not been charged for, something that the police department and the district attorney all say is nothing there. There are witnesses that say there's nothing there. There are text messages from her saying, I will ruin your career. If the NFL suspends him, then explain to me why Frank Clark never got a suspension. Because Frank Clark ended up pleading down to a no contest of domestic violence. Frank Clark is convicted of domestic violence. Seattle Seahawks drafted him in the second round. He's been on the team. In fact, he actually went after a reporter because she was bringing out the case, which the tweet was since deleted. So Frank Clark brought back on himself. Third-year pass rusher lasted out on social media on a piece written by Natalie Weiner, objecting to Seattle Seahawks drafting Clark with their first pick in the draft in the second round. So Clark got mad because she brought out the fact that you were convicted of domestic violence and there was nothing. So if he didn't get suspended and was convicted or actually admitted to it, how come we've got Zeke, who hasn't been charged with anything, possibly going to be suspended for a game or two? Do we see this as right? I know I don't. I see it as some crap. We'll have to wait and see what happens with the NFL. I'm hoping that this is just clickbait done by Adam Schefter. But if it isn't, I'm ready to go off on the NFL because this is just straight up BS. This case should have been solved long ago instead of leaving everybody hanging in the wind. We'll definitely be talking about this tonight because there's other players out there that were drafted this year that are convicted of domestic violence that they're not being investigated right now. And they're not on the suspension board either. You know I'm talking about, Kansas City. I'm Mark Holmes. This is Cowboy Jobu, and we're keeping it real here with the Jobu Sports Report. We'll be talking about this and a lot more at 9 o'clock Eastern here on the Jobu Sports Report live stream. Hope you guys can join us because we got a lot to talk about.